She fixed a stranger's truck for free. 2 weeks later, a 40-foot trailer blocked her entire driveway. It was one of those dusty, dry afternoons in the small town of Ashton Creek where time moved a little slower and people still waved at each other from across the road. Emily Carter, a single mother in her late 30s and the proud owner of a struggling auto repair shop, stood outside her garage, wiping the grease from her hands. The summer heat shimmered on the blacktop, and the clang of tools echoed softly behind her. Business had been quiet, too quiet. Bills piled up on her kitchen counter like a storm waiting to break, but she kept pushing forward, fueled by stubborn hope and a heart that always believed in doing the right thing. That's when she saw it, a beat-up old Chevy truck coughing its way into the edge of her lot. The engine wheezed and sputtered before giving out entirely. A tall, scruffy man in his mid-50s stepped out, clearly frustrated. Emily could tell by his expression he wasn't from around here. He looked like someone who'd spent more time on highways than in homes, his clothes road-worn, his eyes tired. "Need some help?" she called out, walking over. The man hesitated. "Yeah, engine's acting up. I'm just passing through, but every shop I've seen is either closed or charging more than I've got." Emily looked at the truck, then back at the man. He didn't offer his name, but there was something about the slump in his shoulders and the quiet desperation in his voice that struck her. "Let me take a look," she said. She worked for over an hour, tightening belts, replacing a cracked hose, and coaxing the old engine back to life. When she finally shut the hood and wiped her hands, the man reached into his pocket. "How much do I owe you?" Emily shook her head. "Nothing. Just pay it forward, all right?" The man stared at her, stunned. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," she said with a warm smile. "It's what my dad would have done." He nodded slowly, eyes welling with emotion, but said nothing more. He drove off, and Emily watched him disappear down the road, never expecting to see him again. 2 weeks passed. The shop stayed quiet. Emily was behind on rent and had to cancel her son Jake's basketball camp registration. Nights were filled with worry. She didn't regret helping that stranger, kindness had always been her compass, but she couldn't deny things were getting harder. Then, early one Thursday morning, she heard a strange sound. A deep, rumbling hum that shook the windows. She stepped outside, confused, and froze. A massive 40-foot trailer was parked directly in front of her house and shop. Not just parked. It completely blocked the driveway. Her heart jumped. Was this some kind of mistake? An eviction notice gone large scale? Before she could react, the truck's door opened and out stepped the same man she had helped. Only this time, he wasn't alone. Several people. Workers in clean uniforms poured out from the sides of the trailer. They began unloading crates, lifting panels, wheeling out shiny new equipment. What is this?" Emily asked, stunned. The man grinned. "You said to pay it forward. I'm doing just that." Turns out, the stranger Emily had helped wasn't just a lost traveler. His name was Robert Hensley, CEO of a national logistics and transport company. He'd been traveling undercover, visiting rural towns to get a feel for the routes his drivers used. He wanted to understand the people his company depended on, those in small towns who kept America's roads alive with service and grit. "You didn't know who I was," Robert said. "You didn't ask for anything. You just helped. That kind of integrity is rare." He gestured to the trailer. "So this is for you. A full-service shop upgrade. New lifts, new tools, a year's worth of parts, and a small grant to keep you afloat. You'll also be an official service partner for our company in this region. We'll send you steady work. You won't have to worry about dry spells again." Emily's knees nearly gave out. "But, why?" she whispered. Robert's voice softened. "Because someone like you reminds me what good looks like. And I made a promise to myself, if I ever came across someone who reminded me of my late wife's spirit, I'd honor her memory through them. She believed in people, just like you do. Tears filled Emily's eyes. Jake ran out of the house, confused at first, then bursting with joy when he saw the equipment being wheeled in. That afternoon, the townsfolk came by, drawn by the noise and the sight of the towering trailer. Word spread quickly. Emily's shop, Carter Auto and Repair, was buzzing again, but this time with purpose, energy, and a future she could finally believe in. Over the next few months, the transformation was staggering. Emily's shop became the go-to place for miles around. Her staff grew. She trained young locals who dropped out of school or couldn't find jobs. She gave them second chances, the way life had once given her one. One of those young men, Marcus, had been in trouble more than once. When Emily hired him, people warned her not to. But she saw something more in him. A few months later, he became her most loyal employee, often staying late just to help clean up. The shop became more than a business, it became a sanctuary. But what stood out the most wasn't the money or the new tools. It was the quiet notes that would appear at the door every now and then. I got my truck fixed here. I didn't have enough, but she helped anyway. She didn't just fix my car, she gave me back my dignity. My son works here now. He's found hope again. Each note reminded Emily of a simple truth, that one act of kindness could ripple through lives in ways she'd never imagined. Months later, on the anniversary of the day the trailer first arrived, Emily stood in front of her now thriving garage and watched as another dusty vehicle rolled in, this time, a young woman with a broken radiator. She looked nervous and broke. Emily smiled gently, walking over with a grease-stained rag in hand. "Let me take a look." She didn't ask what the woman could afford. Because Emily had learned that sometimes, the reward for kindness isn't what you receive, but who you become. As she bent under the hood, the sun broke through the clouds, casting warm light across the shop. The same driveway that had once been blocked by a trailer was now the path that opened her world. And just like that, the ripple of kindness continued. Sometimes, the smallest acts of selflessness come back in the most unexpected and beautiful ways. When you give without expecting, life finds its way of giving back, tenfold. Be kind, even when no one's watching. Because someone always is.